The Council's arrogance, the grand chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with voices, laughter, and pride. Rows of alien delegates sat in shining seats of crystal, their eyes fixed on the center stage. They came from powerful empires, old civilizations that had ruled the stars for thousands of years. To them, this day was just another chance to mock and remind themselves that they were superior. The subject was humanity, the newest species to rise into space. Some called them primitive toolmakers. Others laughed and said, short-lived animals playing with fire. The aliens had seen humans build small colonies, small fleets, and even join trade routes. But to the Council, humans were still weak, still foolish, still unworthy of respect. A tall, silver-skinned counselor rose, his voice sharp and full of arrogance. Look at these humans, he sneered. They think they are strong because they send ships into the void. Yet their ships are fragile, their weapons old, their lives so short that they do not even live to see the stars they conquer. Shall we tremble at such creatures? The chamber burst into laughter, echoing like thunder across the walls of the hall. Another counselor with golden scales joined the insult. Did you hear? They call one of their warships Titan class? He mocked. What is Titan about them? A child's toy, nothing more. Perhaps we should ask them to send this toy so we can display it in our museum. It will amuse our children. More laughter followed. Cruel and arrogant, but not all in the chamber laughed. Some of the older races stayed silent, their eyes narrowed with unease. They had watched humans more carefully. They had seen how fast humanity learned, how quickly they adapted. They remembered when humans fought wars on their own world, with weapons of fire and steel, and how within only a few centuries, they were already building ships that reached the farthest suns. Yet the voices of warning were drowned by the pride of the majority. On a far corner of the hall, an elder whispered, "Do not laugh too loud, the humans. They are different." But his words went unheard. The sound of arrogance was too strong. The council continued to mock. They shared stories of humans failing in battles against pirates. They laughed at reports of humans struggling to survive on death worlds. Every insult made them feel safer, more powerful, more untouchable. To them, humanity was no more than an amusing distraction. Then came the moment that changed everything. A messenger entered the chamber. Pale and trembling, he held a crystal tablet, glowing with urgent signals. "Counselors," he stammered, "our long-range sensors. They have detected something." The laughter died, the chamber grew silent. "What is it?" the silver-skinned counselor asked sharply. Annoyed at the interruption, the messenger swallowed hard. "A ship, enormous, entering the outer edge of our system. It carries the human signature." The words struck the hall like a storm. For a moment no one spoke, then the laughter returned, though weaker this time. "A ship." The golden-scaled counselor smirked. "Ah, their Titan toy at last. Let us see what they think is so powerful." But the messenger's hand shook, his voice cracked as he read further. "It is far larger than any ship recorded in our archives. Its energy output is beyond our highest class readings, and its size. It dwarfs even our dreadnought fleets." Gasps spread across the chamber. Some counselors shifted uneasily in their seats. The silver-skinned one banged his staff, trying to keep control. "Lies. Exaggeration. No human ship could match our fleets. Run your scanners again, you must be mistaken." But the messenger pressed on, his face pale. "We ran them 3 times, counselor. The readings are the same. The ship, the human Titan class. It is real and it is heading directly toward us." Silence, heavy and sharp, filled the chamber. The arrogance that once echoed as laughter now turned into whispers of fear. The counselors looked at each other, their confidence slowly breaking. For centuries they had mocked humanity. For centuries they had called them weak, but now, a single ship was approaching. A ship so massive, so powerful, that even the proudest races could feel their hearts tremble. In the stillness, the elder's voice broke through again. "I warned you. Humans do not build toys. When they build monsters." His words chilled the chamber, because deep inside every counselor felt it. The arrogance was slipping, and fear was beginning to take its place. "Hook." The messenger lifted his eyes and whispered, "The Titan will arrive in orbit within 1 cycle, and it is not alone." The arrival of the Titan, the Galactic Council chamber, stayed uneasy long after the messenger spoke. Many wanted to believe the news was false. An error in the scanners, but deep inside they all knew. Humanity had never joked about survival. When humans said Titan class, it was not for pride, it was for truth. Far across the system, the object drew closer. Every telescope, every satellite, every scout ship turned its eyes toward the darkness, and out of that black sea of stars, something began to move. First it looked like a shadow, a slow eclipse crawling across the void. Then as it came nearer, the shape began to take form. The alien fleets that stood guard gasped as the readings poured in. The human Titan-class warship was not just large, it was monstrous. It stretched like a floating city, longer than 10 dreadnoughts placed end to end. Its hull was plated with black metal that shimmered faintly, not polished like alien ships of pride. But scarred, rugged, built for war, it looked alive, like a beast of steel waiting to strike. Engines at the rear glowed like captured suns. Each flare shook nearby moons. Even the fabric of space seemed to bend as the ship advanced. No one had seen such engineering before, not even the oldest civilizations. It was something new, something terrifying. The alien commanders panicked. Dozens of fleets prepared weapons, but their sensors screamed warnings. The Titan's energy core burned with a power they had no defense for. Its shields stretched out like wings, strong enough to swallow entire fleets without breaking. Inside the Galactic Council, the arrogance was fading fast. Counselors whispered in fear, "Impossible! No race could build this in so little time. How did humans create such a thing?" Others tried to calm themselves. Perhaps it is empty. Perhaps it is only for show. But when the Titan moved again, its hangar doors opened and from inside more ships poured out. Hundreds of smaller warships, sleek and sharp, each bristling with weapons, each flying in perfect silence. They moved as if they were one, like a school of predators, protecting the larger beast at their center. The alien fleets outside felt the cold grip of terror. Their admirals had spent lifetimes building the strongest navies, but now all their ships looked like children's toys. Their dreadnoughts looked like shuttles beside the Titan, and when the humans activated their weapons, the sky itself seemed to burn. One alien fleet fired first, desperate to show strength. Beams of plasma and missiles streaked across the void. They hit the Titan's shields, but the result was laughter for the humans and horror for the aliens. The weapons disappeared as if swallowed by the darkness. The Titan didn't even slow. The hull did not shake, not a single scar was left. The alien admirals froze. "What kind of shield is that?" One gasped. "Not shield," whispered another. "Something worse. Something beyond us." Back in the chamber, the silver-skinned counselor slammed his staff in anger. "Send more ships. Crush them before they reach us." But even his voice trembled, because every eye in the room could see the truth. Their fleets were powerless. This ship was not here for a game, it was here as a warning. The Titan stopped just outside the Council's world. Its size filled the skies above the capital. Cities below fell into darkness as its shadow blocked the suns. Citizens looked up and screamed. The ground shook as if a new moon had appeared in orbit. The world itself seemed smaller now, under the gaze of humanity's warship. Then a sound rolled across the system. Not words yet, but a deep, powerful hum. It was the Titan's engines shifting into idle. But to the aliens it sounded like the growl of a predator. Waiting, watching, deciding inside the council chamber. The golden-scaled alien who mocked humans earlier was silent. His claws dug into the seat. His arrogance was gone, in its place was dread. He whispered to himself, "If this is one ship, how many more do they hide?" The elder, who had warned them before, closed his eyes. "This is humanity," he said. "They do not build for beauty. They do not build for pride, they build for survival. And survival makes monsters." The council could no longer laugh. They could no longer mock. Every counselor felt the same question rising in their hearts. Had they made the greatest mistake in their history? For years they had pushed humans aside, called them weak, insulted them. But now the Titan stood above their world, and its silence was louder than any threat. Suddenly the Titan's comm system activated. A hologram signal reached the council chamber, and a human figure began to form in the center of the hall, calm, tall, eyes burning like fire. And every alien knew the real fear had only just begun. Fear in the chamber. The hologram shimmered to life in the center of the council chamber. A tall figure stood within the light, clothed in the dark uniform of humanity's fleet. His face was calm, his eyes sharp, his presence colder than the steel of his warship. He did not bow, he did not smile. He simply looked at the hundreds of alien leaders, and in that silent stare they felt their pride begin to wither. For years they had laughed at humans. They had mocked their short lives, their fragile ships, their foolish wars, but now, one human officer stood before them with the shadow of a Titan-class warship behind him. And the chamber, once full of arrogance, was filled only with dread. The silver-skinned counselor, who had shouted the loudest against humanity, tried to speak first. He raised his staff, but his voice trembled. "Human, state your purpose," he demanded. The officer did not move, did not blink. When he finally spoke, his words were simple. "You called us weak." The words echoed through the crystal hall. So plain, so sharp, they cut deeper than any blade. The golden-scaled counselor leaned forward, his claws scratching the table. "This is insolence. You dare come here with a threat?" The human's eyes turned toward him, and for the first time the proud alien felt small. The officer spoke again, his voice steady. "You laughed at us. You mocked us before the stars. You believed we could never rise, so we came. And now you see the truth." Whispers spread through the chamber. Some counselors shook their heads in disbelief. Others gripped their seats as if the ground itself was crumbling beneath them. Never in their history had they seen a young race rise with such speed. Never had they seen a single ship carry such terror. One of the younger alien delegates, her voice breaking, whispered, "If this is only one ship, what else do they have?" Her words spread like poison, planting fear deeper in every heart. The silver-skinned counselor slammed his staff again. "No, they are bluffing. One ship cannot decide the fate of empires." But even as he spoke, his eyes flickered toward the hologram of the Titan. His words were for himself, not for the others. The human officer stepped closer within the light. His face filled the chamber, his eyes burning into each of them. "We do not come to conquer," he said. "We do not come to beg. We come because you forgot respect. And respect must be taught." The chamber fell silent again. The weight of his words crushed the arrogance that once filled the air. Some counselors shifted uneasily. Some whispered to their neighbors, but no one dared laugh. The days of mockery were over. Suddenly, the chamber's great doors burst open. A second messenger rushed in. Pale and shaking, he dropped to his knees, gasping for air. "Counselors! More readings from the sky. The Titan has released drones, thousands of them. They orbit the planet like a cage." A wave of gasps spread through the hall. Images appeared on the crystal screens. The skies of the capital were now filled with glowing machines, silent, unmoving, circling the world like vultures waiting for a feast. Every city below could see them, every child, every worker. Every soldier looked upward and trembled. The golden-scaled counselor collapsed back in his seat. "They have us. Trapped," he whispered. The chamber broke into chaos. Delegates shouted, demanded answers. Some cried for surrender. Others argued to fight. But none truly believed they could win. The elder who had warned them before stood slowly, his voice calm, though his eyes carried sorrow. "This is not conquest," he said. "This is demonstration. They want us to know what they can do, without even firing a shot." His words silenced the chamber once more. Every counselor felt the truth settle deep in their bones. Humanity was not showing them power for pride. They were showing power for survival. And in that survival, the galaxy itself now trembled. The silver-skinned counselor, still clinging to pride, shouted one last time, "We cannot bow to them. We must—" But his words stopped as the hologram officer finally moved. He raised one hand and the chamber screens lit up on them. A single beam from the Titan struck a dead moon nearby. In seconds, the moon shattered, breaking into pieces that scattered like dust. The chamber shook as the explosion's light filled the skies. Every alien froze, their breath stolen. Their courage gone, the human officer's voice returned. Cold and calm, "One warning shot," he said. "Do not test us again." The chamber was silent. The silver-skinned counselor lowered his staff, his hands trembling. The golden-scaled one hid his face in shame, and the younger delegates whispered the truth aloud. "The humans, they are unstoppable." Fear hung heavy in the air. The council, once filled with arrogance and laughter, now sat like children before a teacher who had shown them the cost of mockery. For the first time in centuries, the mighty empires of the galaxy felt powerless, all because of one ship, all because of humanity. And as the hologram flickered, the human officer leaned forward and whispered one last sentence that froze every heart in the chamber. "This Titan is not alone. Humanity speaks. The chamber was silent. No one moved. No one dared breathe too loud. The human officer's hologram stood tall at the center. The glow of the Titan-class warship filled every crystal screen around them, and the words still echoed in their minds. This Titan is not alone. The silver-skinned counselor who once mocked humanity now stared at the floor. His arrogance had broken into fear. The golden-scaled counselor clutched the table with shaking claws. The younger delegates whispered like frightened children, and the elder who had warned them all simply bowed his head. He knew this moment was history being written. The human officer finally stepped forward within the light, his voice calm, heavy, carrying the weight of entire civilizations. "You mocked us," he said. "You called us animals. Fragile and short-lived, you believed humanity would never matter. But humanity does not seek your approval. We seek only survival." Every word fell like thunder. The counselors listened, helpless. For the first time in centuries, no one dared interrupt. The officer raised his hand and the screen shifted again. Images of the Titan's interior filled the hall. Armories stacked with weapons the aliens could not recognize. Rows of smaller strike craft waiting in silence. Massive engines that looked like stars locked in cages. The aliens gasped in disbelief. "This ship," the officer continued, "is not the limit of what we can build. It is only the beginning. For every Titan you see, there are more waiting. And for every fleet you count, there are more you cannot find." The words sank deep into their bones. The arrogance of the council shattered completely. Some counselors began to sweat, their faces pale. Others whispered prayers to gods long forgotten. It was no longer about laughter or pride. It was about survival. The silver-skinned counselor tried to speak. His voice was faint, his staff shaking. "What? What do you want from us?" The officer's cold eyes locked onto him. And then, to everyone's shock, the human smiled. It was not a smile of joy. It was a smile of steel, of calm certainty. "We want respect," he said. "Not your gold, not your land, not your thrones. Only respect." The chamber buzzed with disbelief. So simple a demand, yet it carried the weight of 1,000 threats. The golden-scaled counselor rose. His claws clicked nervously against the floor. "And if we refuse?" he asked. The officer's eyes narrowed. "You saw what one warning shot did to your moon. Imagine if we stopped aiming at rock and started aiming at you." A wave of terror swept across the hall. Some delegates cried out, others begged for calm. But the message was clear. The human was not bluffing. Humanity had no need to bluff anymore. The elder raised his voice, trembling yet steady. "You are showing power, but why now? Why not before? Why come here to us?" The human turned his gaze to the elder. "For years we watched. For years we listened as you spat on our name. We waited because we were not ready, but now, we are ready." He lifted his hand again. The screens filled with images of human colonies. Worlds once empty, now alive with human cities. Factories glowing, fleets launching, children playing under alien suns. It was proof that humanity had spread across the stars, and nothing could stop them anymore. "Humanity does not conquer for glory," the officer said. "We conquer to survive, and when we survive, we grow, we learn, we adapt. That is what makes us dangerous to you. That is why you should never have mocked us." The golden-scaled counselor collapsed into his chair. He whispered to himself, They are not like us. They are something else entirely." The officer's voice grew sharper now. "You have one choice before you. Treat humanity as equal, or face extinction. We do not want war. But if war comes, we will not hesitate. And you will not win." The chamber froze again. The arrogance was gone, the laughter was gone. Only fear, cold, deep fear for the first time. The great empires of the galaxy felt powerless before a race they once called children. Then the officer's image leaned closer. His voice lowered, yet it carried through the hall like a blade cutting air. "Remember this," he said. "Humanity is not asking. Humanity is telling." The chamber shook with silence. Some delegates finally broke down, crying softly into their robes. Others stared blankly, knowing that the galaxy they ruled had just changed forever. The elder whispered into the silence, "The humans have spoken." And every counselor, no matter how proud, knew the truth in their hearts. This was no longer their galaxy alone. Humanity had entered it with fire, steel, and survival, and nothing would ever be the same. Hook. Outside, the Titan moved again. Its weapons lit up the darkness, not in attack but in warning, and as the stars reflected off its black hull, The Council realized one terrible truth. This was only one ship, and humanity had many more waiting in the dark. Power display. The Council chamber shook with unease. The human officer's hologram still stood in the center, his words heavy in the air. But what came next was no longer about words. It was about proof, high above the Council's world. The Titan-class warship began to move. Its massive hull turned slowly, groaning like a sleeping giant waking from slumber. Millions on the surface watched the skies darken. Cities stopped, children froze. Even soldiers forgot their drills. Every eye was fixed on the shadow of steel that blocked the stars. In orbit, alien fleets held their positions. Weapons primed, admirals gave silent orders. But their hands shook as they studied the Titan's readings. Their strongest dreadnoughts were smaller than its hangars. Their heaviest weapons could not even scratch its shields. And yet the Titan had not fired a single shot. Until now. The human officer in the chamber raised one hand. "Watch," he said simply, and with that word, the Titan unleashed its first strike. From its underbelly, a single cannon lowered. The weapon glowed brighter and brighter, until it looked like a newborn sun forming in the darkness. The energy gathered, humming low and deep. The sound rattled through the bones of every living creature on the planet. And then, it fired. A beam of pure white light shot across the void. It pierced a barren moon that circled the Council's world. For a moment there was silence, and then the moon cracked, splitting like glass under a hammer. Fragments tore away, scattering into space. The explosion lit the skies with blinding brilliance, so bright that even the capital's oceans reflected the light like day. The chamber gasped as one. Delegates clutched their robes. Some cried out, some fell silent. The power they had just witnessed was beyond anything they imagined. It was not destruction for conquest. It was a message written in fire and stone. The human officer's voice returned, calm as ever. "One shot, one warning. We will not repeat ourselves." The silver-skinned counselor collapsed back into his chair. His staff clattered against the floor, forgotten. He had shouted the loudest, but now he could not even raise his voice. His lips trembled as he whispered, "A moon. Destroyed." Like nothing. The golden-scaled counselor shook his head violently. "This is madness. No ship should have that power. No race should have such a weapon." But even as he spoke, he knew the truth. Humanity did, and nothing could change it. The chamber screens changed again. This time the Titan's hangars opened wide. Inside were rows of smaller ships, hunters, interceptors, bombers, each one ready to fly, each one carrying weapons alien eyes had never seen before. And as they deployed, they did not attack. They flew in perfect formation around the Titan, circling it like a crown of steel. A show of unity, discipline, and unstoppable strength. The elder rose once more, his voice low but strong. "They are not showing us their limits. They are showing us their control, do you not see? They could have aimed at us, but they chose stone. This is mercy, and mercy is more terrifying than war." Whispers spread like wildfire. He was right. Humanity had shown that with a single shot, they could end worlds, yet they had spared the Council's world. They had given a warning instead of a grave. It was not just power on display, it was restraint. The human officer's hologram leaned forward. His eyes scanned the chamber. "We do not want your destruction," he said. "But if you force our hand, we will bring it. Choose wisely." The chamber was drowning in fear. Delegates who once laughed at humanity now begged for peace. Some shouted for surrender. Others whispered that they should kneel before the humans. But none dared insult them again. From outside the chamber windows, the glow of the shattered moon still lit the sky, its broken pieces scattered across the void like a graveyard of stone. It was a reminder. One shot, one moment, and everything could vanish. The golden-scaled counselor finally stood, his arrogance broken. His claws shook as he raised them. "Human, we understand. We will not mock you again. We see what you are." His words were not proud. They were desperate. They were survival. The human officer did not smile. He did not bow. He simply raised his hand, and the hologram faded, leaving silence behind. The chamber was left trembling. Some delegates wept openly, others could not even speak. But all of them carried the same thought in their minds. Humanity had arrived. Not as children of the stars, but as titans among them, Hook. Outside, the Titan slowly turned again, its weapons dimmed. But its presence was heavier than ever. and far away beyond the range of most scanners. More human warships began to stir in the dark. The Council did not know it yet. But the display they had just seen was only the beginning. Power display, the Council chamber shook with unease. The human officer's hologram still stood in the center, his words heavy in the air. But what came next was no longer about words. It was about proof, high above the Council's world. The Titan-class warship began to move. Its massive hull turned slowly, groaning like a sleeping giant waking from slumber. Millions on the surface watched the skies darken. Cities stopped, children froze. Even soldiers forgot their drills. Every eye was fixed on the shadow of steel that blocked the stars. In orbit, alien fleets held their positions. Weapons primed, admirals gave silent orders. But their hands shook as they studied the Titan's readings. Their strongest dreadnoughts were smaller than its hangars. Their heaviest weapons could not even scratch its shields. And yet the Titan had not fired a single shot. Until now. The human officer in the chamber raised one hand. "Watch," he said simply, and with that word, the Titan unleashed its first strike. From its underbelly, a single cannon lowered. The weapon glowed brighter and brighter, until it looked like a newborn sun forming in the darkness. The energy gathered, humming low and deep. The sound rattled through the bones of every living creature on the planet. And then, it fired a beam of pure white light shot across the void. It pierced a barren moon that circled the Council's world. For a moment there was silence, and then the moon cracked, splitting like glass under a hammer. Fragments tore away, scattering into space. The explosion lit the skies with blinding brilliance, so bright that even the capital's oceans reflected the light like day. The chamber gasped as one. Delegates clutched their robes. Some cried out, some fell silent. The power they had just witnessed was beyond anything they imagined. It was not destruction for conquest. It was a message written in fire and stone. The human officer's voice returned, calm as ever. "One shot, one warning. We will not repeat ourselves." The silver-skinned counselor collapsed back into his chair. His staff clattered against the floor, forgotten. He had shouted the loudest, but now he could not even raise his voice. His lips trembled as he whispered, "A moon." Destroyed. Like nothing, the golden-scaled counselor shook his head violently. "This is madness. No ship should have that power. No race should have such a weapon." But even as he spoke, he knew the truth. Humanity did, and nothing could change it. The chamber screens changed again. This time the Titan's hangars opened wide. Inside were rows of smaller ships, hunters, interceptors, bombers, each one ready to fly, each one carrying weapons alien eyes had never seen before. And as they deployed, they did not attack. They flew in perfect formation around the Titan, circling it like a crown of steel. A show of unity, discipline, and unstoppable strength. The elder rose once more, his voice low but strong. "They are not showing us their limits. They are showing us their control, do you not see? They could have aimed at us, but they chose stone. This is mercy, and mercy is more terrifying than war." Whispers spread like wildfire. He was right. Humanity had shown that with a single shot, they could end worlds, yet they had spared the Council's world. They had given a warning instead of a grave. It was not just power on display, it was restraint. The human officer's hologram leaned forward. His eyes scanned the chamber. "We do not want your destruction," he said. "But if you force our hand, we will bring it. Choose wisely." The chamber was drowning in fear. Delegates who once laughed at humanity now begged for peace. Some shouted for surrender. Others whispered that they should kneel before the humans. But none dared insult them again. From outside the chamber windows, the glow of the shattered moon still lit the sky, its broken pieces scattered across the void like a graveyard of stone. It was a reminder. One shot, one moment, and everything could vanish. The golden-scaled counselor finally stood, his arrogance broken. His claws shook as he raised them. "Human, we understand. We will not mock you again. We see what you are." His words were not proud. They were desperate. They were survival. The human officer did not smile. He did not bow. He simply raised his hand, and the hologram faded, leaving silence behind. The chamber was left trembling. Some delegates wept openly, others could not even speak. But all of them carried the same thought in their minds. Humanity had arrived. Not as children of the stars, but as titans among them, Hook. Outside, The Titan slowly turned again, its weapons dimmed. But its presence was heavier than ever, and far away beyond the range of most scanners. More human warships began to stir in the dark. The Council did not know it yet. But the display they had just seen was only the beginning. The turning point, the chamber was still trembling with fear. The shattered moon glowed in the skies like a scar carved into the heavens. The Titan hung silent above the planet, a beast of steel watching its prey, and the Council sat frozen, every proud voice now hushed, every mocking laugh now gone. But fear has two faces, submission and defiance, and in that silence, one alien chose the second counselor, Varek. A tall warrior from the Krith Dominion stood suddenly. His skin was armored with natural plates, his eyes burning with pride. He had fought in dozens of wars and lost none. To him, bowing to humans was worse than death. His deep voice roared across the chamber. Enough! This is nothing but theater. One ship, no matter how large, cannot rule the galaxy. We will not crawl to them like frightened hatchlings. A ripple of shock passed through the hall. Some nodded weakly, clinging to his courage. Others looked away, knowing his words were madness. But Varek pressed on. Humans show us tricks, destroying dead rock, circling our skies with toys. I say we respond with fire. I say we send our fleets and burn this Titan from the stars. His words echoed, and for a moment pride flickered again in the chamber. But the elder rose slowly, his voice calm as a shadow. You would risk all our worlds for arrogance? You would test the hand that can crush a moon? Varek sneered, pointing at him with a clawed hand. Old one, you are afraid, but I am not. The Krith have never bowed to anyone, and I will not start today. The golden-scaled counselor whispered, He will doom us all. But Varek was already signaling his people. Across the system, the Krith fleet moved. Hundreds of warships lit their engines, forming a battle line against the Titan, the chamber filled with panic. Delegates shouted, some begged him to stop. But Varek only laughed. Let the humans see what true fleets look like, let them bleed. The human officer's hologram flickered back. His eyes cold, his expression unchanged. He spoke only one sentence. Your choice has been made. Above the planet, the Titan stirred, its weapons awoke, glowing once more like captured suns. But it did not fire to kill instead. Beams of blue light swept across space, silent, precise, merciless. Within seconds, every Krith ship froze in place. Engines offline, weapons dead, systems dark. Not one was destroyed, not one crew member was harmed. But the fleet hung powerless, like insects trapped in amber. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Counselor Varek stared at the screens in disbelief. His mighty fleet, his pride, his strength, all useless in less than a breath. He slammed his fists against the table, roaring in rage. You cannot do this. You cannot. But his voice cracked because he knew they had. The human officer's voice filled the chamber again. This is what humanity chooses. We do not destroy without reason. But we will not allow defiance, we will not allow arrogance to risk others' lives. Consider this mercy. The counselors looked on, their fear now joined by awe. What kind of race could disable an entire fleet without firing a killing shot? What kind of technology could silence ships built over centuries of war? The answer was clear. Humanity was no longer behind them. Humanity had surpassed them. The elder bowed his head deeply. You see now, he said, they could have killed us. They could have burned the Krith from existence, but they chose not to. This is the difference between power and cruelty. Counselor Varek sank into his chair. Broken, his defiance shattered like the moon above. Even he, proud and unbending, could not deny the truth anymore. The humans had won without blood. They had shown dominance without slaughter. And that was far more terrifying than war. The golden-scaled counselor finally spoke, his voice weak but steady. We must accept them. If we fight, we are ash. If we submit, we may live. The silver-skinned one, who once mocked the loudest, nodded slowly, his eyes empty of pride. Humanity has become the storm, we cannot resist it. The chamber, once a place of arrogance, now became a place of surrender. Voices whispered, hesitant but clear. We must yield, we must change, we must accept. Above the world, the Titan drifted in silence, its weapons dimming again, its smaller ship circling in formation, a silent crown of steel above a galaxy on its knees. The human officer's final words closed the session. You mocked us, now you fear us, but soon you will respect us. His hologram faded, leaving behind only silence, and in that silence the galaxy turned. The moment when arrogance broke, the moment when pride shattered, the moment when the galaxy realized that humanity was not the weak child they mocked, but the new power they would have to obey, Hook. Outside the chamber, citizens across the world watched the skies, the broken moon still glowing, the Titan still waiting, and in the distance, faint signals stirred, other human Titans moving. The Council thought they faced one ship, but in truth, humanity's armada was only just beginning to reveal itself. The new order. The chamber was quiet. For the first time in centuries, no one argued, no one laughed, no one shouted. The Galactic Council, once proud and arrogant, now sat trembling like children before a teacher, and outside the Titan-class warship hung in the sky, its shadow reminding them with every second who truly held power. The shattered moon's fragments still glowed, a scar of light across the heavens. The Krith fleet still drifted helpless in orbit. Disabled but alive, the world below still frozen in fear. It was clear. The galaxy had reached a turning point. The great doors of the chamber opened again, this time not with a messenger, but with another hologram. The human officer returned, his figure tall and steady. The silence of the chamber pressed against him. But he did not smile. He did not look for thanks. He came to deliver the future. "You have seen our strength," he said. "You have seen our restraint, now you will hear our terms." Every counselor leaned forward, some in dread, some in desperation, but none dared to interrupt. The officer's voice carried across the chamber, simple, sharp, and final. "First, humanity will no longer be mocked. You will treat us as equals among the stars. Second, no empire will threaten our people again. If even one colony is harmed, we will respond with the full weight of our fleets. Third, you will share knowledge and trade fairly. You will not hoard. You will not cheat. You will respect humanity as we respect ourselves." The chamber rippled with whispers. The terms were not demands for gold or land, not chains, not tribute, just respect and safety. And that frightened the Council more than conquest, because it meant humanity did not come as plunderers. They came as builders, and builders never stop. The elder stood slowly, his voice soft but carrying wisdom. "They do not ask for thrones, they ask for recognition, and I say we give it. For if we refuse, the stars themselves may burn against us one by one." Voices in the chamber broke their silence. The golden-scaled counselor whispered first, "We accept." The silver-skinned counselor lowered his head. "We yield." Others followed. "We agree. We submit. We will respect." The chamber, once a hall of pride, now became a hall of surrender. Not forced, not bloody, but inevitable, because all knew the truth. One Titan had been enough to break them, and humanity had promised there were more. The human officer gave no smile of victory. His voice was steady, cold, final. "Your choice is wise. Respect is given, respect is returned. Defiance will never be tolerated again." With those words, the hologram faded and the chamber sat in silence, the weight of history pressing down on every heart. The galaxy had changed forever outside. The Titan turned slowly, its engines glowing like captured stars. Its smaller ships retracted into the massive hangars, and then, with a soundless rumble, it began to leave orbit, not fleeing, not retreating, but moving to its next destination. Its shadow lifted from the Council's world, but its presence remained. Every city, every soldier, every child would remember the day the sky went dark. The Council watched from their towers. None spoke of resistance, none dared call the humans weak again. For they all knew. Respect had been demanded, and respect had been taken. Across the galaxy, news spread like wildfire. Worlds whispered of the human Titan, of the shattered moon, of the fleet disabled without a single death, of the Council bending their knees. And everywhere aliens trembled, some in fear, some in awe, but all in recognition. Humanity had become a power that could not be ignored. In human colonies far away, the people rejoiced. For the first time, they were not called weak. They were not mocked as children of the stars. They stood equal. Their Titan had spoken for them all. And the galaxy had listened. The elder in the chamber whispered softly as he looked at the stars. "They laughed at Earth once, but no one laughs now." His words carried like prophecy, a reminder that arrogance had met its end. And a new order had begun. From that day, the galaxy trembled not at cruelty, but at the calm certainty of a human promise, a promise that echoed through every world: respect us or vanish. Hook for the audience. And as the Titan disappeared into the dark, its shadow left behind a question that haunted every counselor's heart. If this was only the first, how many more Titans waited in the void?